Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of College Blitz. I'm Russ Morgan here with my man Q. As always, Q, I'm pumped. It's October 2nd, so we got October baseball rolling full. I'm nervous as hell, honestly. Like game 3 tonight for my Yankees. I got my playoff stash going. I had the beard, and I had the beard. Yankees were up 2-0 yesterday, so I had it for the and the minute the Red Sox scored two, I'm a baseball player. I'm superstitious as hell. I go with the big boss, George Steinbrenner. I shaved that shit off right off the bat. But I have my playoff beard. We also got, October. That's great. We got playoff baseball. We got NFL basically every day of the week. We got college football basically every day of the week, minus, a Monday. Sometimes we have a Tuesday, and then you got hockey starting on what, the 7th.
I believe so. I believe opening day, at least I know for the Panthers, I want to say is October 7th.
Yeah, so sports galore. I know we took a week off last week, and it's all good. We all have conflicting stuff and life going on. This is my third time on the network this week. I thought I did. I kept it pretty tame.
You behaved yourself. You behaved yourself. I was proud of you.
I think
there's a couple shots. There's a couple shots here and there, but I expected that. But they were good. They were good natured. Everybody, kind of behaved themselves. So
I got Fitzstanza pissed at the end. I was like, hey Bobby, I came on. I was like, I'm gonna be a good sport. I came on after the game. I'm like, hey, I ride with my team, win or lose. So I came on and talked a little bit. Right when I was leaving, I'm like, hey, guys, I just want to let you know I hate the Dolphins. I hate all you guys who like the Dolphins. He was like, oh, I'm not coming on Wednesday. And Bobby and AJ were on, and they're just cracking up.
Yeah, I caught part of it. Good combo for sure with Sammy and Finstans and everything.
Yeah,
like I said, I like the back and forth. The back and forth is good. It's what you expect in a rivalry that's as heated as Dolphins Jets, man.
It's just sports,
Oh yeah, you gotta have fun with it, man.
It's me and Fitzstanza get along. We're kind of negative sports fans, and that kind of goes with me being a Jets fan. I'm a very negative guy. He's obviously a negative guy. And when Bobby comes on, I'm like, I got my jokes ready to go for Bobby. Bobby always says, Bobby's like, every time you'll make a Dolphins joke, I'm like, dude, when I'm on my baseball podcast, I don't make a joke. I'll make a joke here. I'm like, all right, it's football related.
All business in baseball.
So this one's. I'm like, I'm not making a Dolphins joke. I'm talking baseball. At least here we're talking a little football. I did get a little. Fitzstanza goes, you don't have a Yankees jersey or a Jets jersey? I'm like, no, dude. I got my hat, got some shirts. I'm not a big jersey guy. He's like, you a fan? I'm like, yeah, I don't even spend my money on it. Like, if I bought any type of jersey for the Jets or Yankees, it would be like the jersey T-shirt. Like,
I got you.
No basketball. I would never rock. If I had a basketball jersey, I'd be wearing an undershirt. No straight like rocking a tank top.
I'm a basketball jersey fan. Like in the summer, like if I'm near the beach, near the pool. I'm not one to wear it like, out and about typically, right? But again, on the beach, by the pool, rock a basketball jersey, some swim trunks or something like that. Just kind of fits,
That's a proper place. Like I see guys working with a basketball game. I'm like, what do you think you're gonna go suit up?
Mm-hmm. No, but also I will say to sporting events, I think it is very appropriate to wear the team jersey, right? Oh, yeah. I've seen some conversation about that, and I've been a little surprised at the pushback from some people. Are like, why are you wearing something with another man's, last name? Come on, that's what jerseys are made for. They're made to wear to sporting events. Now, again, there's been times, in the last I remember, not long after I graduated high school, right, where there was this big kick where jerseys were huge. They became a huge part of fashion. Really, essentially through hip hop and everything. And so I kind of, I participated in that a little bit, and not a ton, right? Because I mean, those jerseys got expensive, but I had a couple that I like to wear out and the whole deal. But yeah, by and large, it's at sporting events, and then when it comes to basketball jerseys, definitely summertime on the beach by the pool, that type of thing.
You're
But
telling me that you're telling me.
But I don't judge. Like, I'm not one of these people like, you shouldn't wear a jersey unless it's to a.
Hey, no,
I don't do that.
To each their own. I think it looks a football, baseball jersey. Jersey's okay. Think of you wear a basketball jersey at a game with no sleeves. I don't think it's a great look, but that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I'm allowed to have my opinion.
I got you.
And expensive as hell. Like I was like, maybe I'll get a Jets jersey. 130, 150. Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know if this guy's going to be there.
You got to listen. Just like I was telling my girl when it comes to because we're going to go snowboarding later on in the year. I'm gonna say a huge snowboarder. I am decent at snowboarding, even though I was born and raised in Miami. I've gotten to where now for about the last 15 years, a couple times a season, go out west and go snowboarding. I've become pretty good at it. And I was telling her the best time to buy, the gear for it is spring, summer, that kind of thing. So kind of the same thing, when it comes to jerseys, is the best time to buy it is during the off season. That, that's kind of how it goes. In season, they're always going to be pricey. And then kind of as the season comes to an end, it starts winding down, you'll get some specials, you go on Fanatics and all that stuff, and you get some good prices on them.
In the case of the New York Jets, there's only a few players that I know would be around for a while, and that's, Quentin Williams.
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson, I don't know if they're going to be
Sauce
around.
Gardner.
I got my issues with Sauce, but anyway, that's
he's going to be around, though. He's going to be around is what I mean.
He's going to be around, but I mean, I did have him as a kid. I had a John Abraham, Sean Ellis jersey. So my brother had he has Santana Moss and Vilma.
Yeah.
I love.
I'm familiar. With.
Oh yeah, I think I know those guys.
I've heard of them.
Dude, I love
Sean Ellis, North Carolina.
I think he was Tennessee Chattanooga.
Oh really? Why am I saying North Carolina? I know John Abraham was Alabama. Right?
He was Yeah, I thought he was. It could be Tennessee.
I thought John Abraham was Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. Don't hold me to
it. The first thing that popped up, I had to put in Sean Ellis football because some random guy.
Oh, I'm sure. Sean is Shaun, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Yeah, it is. I swore he went to Chattanooga.
Dude, I don't know why I was thinking North Carolina for him. I mean, John Abraham, like I said, I bet decent money it was Alabama. Don't take my paycheck. Yeah, don't take my paycheck, but I thought it was Alabama. So you're telling me as you're looking that up, you're telling me you're more than a little stitious. You're superstitious when it comes to
very superstitious.
Just like a baseball guy, bro. A baseball guy. Just I don't wash my whatever, during the
I didn't get that far where I'm not washing my underwear or something like that in my pants,
I gotta shape my mustache in a certain way.
Yeah.
Baseball guys are the most superstitious people.
I remember I worked at Ralph's, which is Kroger.
Okay.
And Ralph's is Kroger in California, and I was hot as hell the last 2.5 weeks, and I was going to a tournament in Palm Springs, California, and I'm 19, and my facial hair didn't come until I was 21, 22, actually normal, and I was 15 for 20 in the last 2 weeks, and I just had some ratty ass peach fuzz, and my boss is like, Russ, you got to shave. I'm like,
you don't understand.
Rosalie, your nephew is a baseball player. I gotta keep this going.
You don't understand.
And I fought her for 6 hours on it, and then by the time we were done and my shift was over, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, you don't understand. I cannot shave. I can't do it.
Oh no, I got a big tournament coming up. I couldn't shave, but a good week of college football last week. Obviously, we had the big game on Friday night with going to preview this game right off the back into the good stuff because that's not where game day is, but one of the biggest games of the week this week with Florida State, Miami.
That's where they should have been. That's where they should have been.
Virginia beats Florida State in double overtime, 46-38 in Charlottesville. And hopefully, we're like we spoke before, praying and hoping that player is okay because he looked like he got stomped a couple times.
That player, for those who don't know who are watching the game, is the wide receiver for Florida State. I can't remember who it was, but the last play of the game, which was a pass in the corner, went to him. And the moment, I think before that ball hit the ground, the students were on the field. And for whatever you feel or don't feel for a team, and I get it, but that was. And listen, I'll preface it by saying I haven't heard anything throughout the week that would lead us to believe that he's not healthy, that he was hurt in any way, shape, or form. But truthfully, that was a little bit scary to watch. I mean, he disappeared in a sea of humanity basically before that ball ever hit the ground. So hopefully, again, I'd have to watch the play again to see who that was. But whoever that was, that receiver from Florida State, hopefully that guy's okay, because that was definitely a little scary to watch.
Was it Robinson?
Deuce. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it was him. I don't think it was him. If anybody in the chat out there remembers or can tell us, I honestly don't remember who it was. I don't think it was Deuce though. I don't think it was Deuce. And if you watch that game, there's the students are right there. They're not hopping over a wall. They are right on top of you, and they were lined up. They were lined up before they went to overtime.
And that's a big
they were in there like 40, 50 deep before the game even went to overtime. So they were getting ready.
That's a big no-no. That's a big no-no there.
Yeah. They were the school ended up getting fined like $25,000 or something like that, which, I mean, if I'm Virginia, I'd be like, look, man, here's 26. You buy yourself something nice. Like, I wouldn't even care. You know what I mean? Like,
we just beat number 7 Florida State.
Yeah, to me, it'd be like, we'll take that fine all day long. I'm okay with it.
Speaking on that, that's a big no-no to have students ready to storm the field before the game is over. I remember my brother was at Arizona when Nick Foles was there, so they were actually pretty good. And they were playing they were playing Iowa this year. They're ranked, and they had people thought they were going to win, so people started jumping on the field. And my brother's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, you stay here until the game's over." Jumped on the field. They ended up losing, and this was like the biggest game in Arizona history. The game day was there, and he's like, "We're going to lose this. You idiots just jumped on the field and jinxed everything." They also locked out like because it was at capacity. It was like too many people were in there before they got in before the game, so security locked it out. And my brother and his roommates just said, "F it, let's go." Yeah. And like 600 students just started charging. He's like, "Yeah, about 10 of them got tackled, but majority of us got it."
Yeah.
Too bad for the people who got nailed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. Listen, man. When you're in college, you're 18 to 22. Certain things you don't really think about or really even care, right? If you do think about it, you're not really worried about consequences or anything like that. So, really, by and large, man, if students decide to storm the field, for the most part, man, I'm not a huge opponent of it necessarily. Like, I think it's cool to see. That's one of the great things about college football when you consider the difference, between college and NFL football. It's part of the traditions and part of the culture and everything like that. When you go, place to place, no matter how you tailgate, no matter what your, pregame customs are, postgame customs are, right? Every college town has their popular places that people go to, before and after the game, right? The watering holes and local places and the whole deal. But, one of the things I think that is cool, right? And I'm sure college, higher ups, right? ADs, presidents and everything like that would push back on it. But one of the cool things about college is how, they storm the field, they tear down the goalposts, right? They take them down to, like Vanderbilt last year when they beat Alabama, right? They took it down Broadway and threw it in I think it was the Tennessee River?
No, that's the Cumberland. Tennessee.
The Cumberland River, right?
That's the Cumberland.
No. I'm saying when Vanderbilt beat Alabama last season.
Cumberland's in Nashville. The Tennessee River's in Knoxville.
Okay, there you go. Right, so they took it down Broadway, which is cool, right? And for anybody watching, I know myself included, right, that I've been on Broadway, multiple times. But to think of what that must have looked like, right, to see a bunch of students carrying a goalpost all the way to the river and throwing that thing in there after a big win, like I think that's really cool. Tennessee beating Alabama a couple years ago, kind of the same thing. They ripped the goalpost down, went and threw it in the river. So again. I get the inherent dangers that I guess you can associate with storming the field. And then you always see the videos of fans going up to certain players and, they're videoing and they're, kind of giving them the middle finger and doing all that. Like, that's the stuff that you wish, kind of wouldn't happen. But listen, at the end of the day, man, 7:30, 8 o'clock kicks, right? These guys have been pre-gaming for 10 hours, right? I mean, what do you expect from these guys? As long as you don't put your hands on them, you kind of keep it, semi, not, what's the word I'm looking for, man? Just listen, don't put your hands on people and everything like that, right? As long as you're keeping verbal.
No LeGarrette Blount situations.
Exactly. Yeah. LeGarrette Blount versus Boise State when he knocked that dude out after they got upset and everything, right? Like, don't do that, right? But as long as you're keeping it verbal and you're not putting your hands on people, I'm for the most part, I'm okay with it.
My brother was at that time, was a writer for Fox at that time, so he got a press pass for that game, the Tennessee-Alabama game. And he went down to the sidelines on the fourth quarter, and he's standing there, and he made friends with one of the security guards. He's cool with them. My brother's just a normal guy, And the minute he hit the field goal, he said, "Joe, run." Yeah. He's like, "Get the hell out of here!" And he got hit right here. He's like, "Just leave." And he's like, "Watch, if they hit this field goal, you get the hell out of here because it's gonna get crazy." And the field goal posts at Tennessee are now electronic. Because of
so they can lay him down after a win.
Yeah,
that's smart. Smart. I'm sure it's pricey to do that, but it saves you money in the in the long run, right?
I think I'm fine with it for a win like that. But there's some times where I'm like, hey, you're 25, you beat your rivals 7, and we storm the field. I'm like, okay, Virginia beating Florida State. Okay, that's a massive win. I'm like, you're a ranked team beating another ranked team. I'm like, okay, this isn't really big upset. But I mean, we spoke about Florida State a lot, and we spoke about Tommy Castellanos a lot. He looked, and after his first couple weeks, looked very good against Alabama week 1, looked human. And my opinion of him, watching him at Boise State, where when you saw him at Boise State, I'm like, he'd have a very good game. And then the next week, people will be like, "Oh, Boise State,
Boston College.
Boston College, my bad.
College. Yeah.
Boston College." I know. I said right when I saw you go, I'm like, "Oh, I messed that one up." Boston College, he'd have have a good game. Then they play a ranked opponent. People will be like, "Oh, Castellanos," and he kind of come down to earth. He definitely came down to earth. This, last week, 18 for 32, 254, a touchdown, 2 picks. Virginia's guy, Chandler Morris, was 26 for 35, 229, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. But, I mean, did you get to watch this game a little bit on Friday night? I know you had some stuff going on.
Yeah. No. I got to watch a good bit of it. And, what's crazy is leading up to this game, I think a lot of people, depending on which side of the fandom, you fell on, I think, people were kind of paying attention to this game in very different forms, right? I think I saw a lot of Florida State supporters like, man, we're about to dog walk these dudes. They're going to be, barbecue chicken and, we're going to da-da-da. And I was like, oh, that's, maybe, right? Based on what Florida State has showed to that point, but I think, the people really that were, I say not everybody, right? But a lot of people that were in the know, right? Really were thinking, hey, listen, you can't sleep on Virginia in Charlottesville Friday night, 7, I think it was a 7 o'clock kick. Don't get caught looking ahead, right? You gotta pay attention to what's in front of you today. Today, you're in front of a really good offense, a really good quarterback, and it ended up biting them. Right now, listen, you can chalk it up to, looking ahead, You can call it. I think it was definitely a trap game. Obviously, as a result showed. But I think by and large, when you're looking at the game and just that game that night, I don't think Virginia was ever a team that you could overlook. Right, going into that game, there you can make an argument they should be undefeated. Given the results of the season, so far, and again, man, a really good quarterback in Chandler Morris, an offense that can move the ball, right? That's really good through the air. Even though they were missing, I believe they were missing a couple O-line starters. I know they were missing at least one, and a couple at least rotation guys. So that kind of, when you're looking at what that result was like and how that bodes for them moving forward into this week with a game against Miami and an O-line specifically, like Miami has, we'll get into it. But, I think if you're a Florida State supporter, I think you have to be a little bit concerned given what that D-line showed against an offensive line in Virginia that's wouldn't be considered an elite O-line by any stretch.
Yeah, and you're speaking about that. I mean, Virginia's 4-1 on the year. They lose a tough game to NC State.
Should have won that game.
Yeah, played a hell of a game. Put up a hell of a game against FSU. Definitely either a lackadaisical game or looking ahead to the big matchup against in-state rival. But I mean, the one thing everybody and I always thought is everybody's putting so high on Florida State just because they played. Yes, they played great week one. They beat Alabama week one in Tallahassee. That's a little different than beating the team in Tuscaloosa. But I mean, you beat them week one, but then Florida State. I mean, yes, you play Eastern Texas A&M. I don't even know that was a school. So I mean,
sounds like a community college.
I know there's a lot of Texas A&Ms. There's Texas A&M Corpus Christi, but they're like D2s,
exactly.
NAIs. So and then you beat them 77-3. You play Kent State 66-10. So I mean, in my opinion, it's I thought Florida State was looking ahead. This is going to be an easy game, but by all means was definitely not going to double overtime and losing to Virginia. And Castellanos, he looked pedestrian. I mean,
yep.
And I'm looking at them. I mean, you get Deuce Robinson 9 for 147 and a touchdown, but then your second leading receiver has 2 for 44 in Loway McCoy, and then Mikey Daisy has 3 for 42. So it's obviously a very
Makai Danzy.
Makai Danzy, yes, excuse me. It is definitely. I mean, if you're looking at everybody besides Deuce Robinson, you have 2 to 3 catches. So if I'm going into this week, I'm for Miami, I'm taking away Castellanos' legs and locking down Deuce Robinson and make the other guys beat me.
Yeah, listen. When you're looking at, again, just to kind of wrap up the Florida State Virginia talk, I think most people had, like I was watching ACC Network, and Eddie Royal was really the only one on the panel that was really giving Virginia a chance, and Eric McLean and a couple of those guys. I think it was EJ Manuel and stuff. I think, everybody was kind of pushing back on it a little bit. And he was really the only one that was like, hey, listen, don't sleep on Virginia. And he ended up being correct. Right. And now, again, when I heard a lot and I saw a lot of traffic on Twitter where, some of these guys, some of the FSU backers and podcasters and content creators and everything, essentially we're just kind of dismissing, Virginia. Right. They were like, man, look, these guys aren't, We're going to go in there and we're going to, dog walk them and we're going to, whatever. And, again, man, I think, a little bit of that, I think is a product of a program that was 2-10 last year. Coming in this year, they're undefeated, really, really, feeling good about themselves, and like you mentioned, right, look at the opponents, right? And again, I get that the ACC isn't the Big Ten. I get the ACC isn't the SEC. But you have to put things in perspective. When you're beating up on cupcakes and tomato cans, you're looking at Kent State. I think I saw a stat that they had lost like 14 out of their last 15 games against FBS opponents. East Texas A&M. I mean, to me, sounds like a community college, right? Like some of these guys were I saw a podcast, and again, honestly, like if I remember the name of it, I would shout them out because I think they were, again, sorry, but just clown content. But some of the stuff they were talking about was like, no, we put up, 700, and whatever yards and this and that. And I'm like, is that what we're doing? Like, are we sunshine pumping that hard where we're looking at results like that and waving the pom poms and thinking that that's going to get you a win against a good team in Virginia? Well, I mean, I guess have at it, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of last year where, coming into the season, everybody, including Mike Norvell was, pumping up the team and like, this is the biggest, fastest, whatever team we've had, ever here. And then, every week they're coming out and, I remember there's a cut of Mike Norvell in his press conferences starting off the same way, congratulations to whoever beat them, and da. And, but just really odd, how high on the hog these guys were about, beating nobodies. Right. And so, including their players, right? That's some of the stuff that I think as a staff and leaders on the team, that's some of the stuff you have to guard against, right? And not getting too high off especially off wins that don't matter. And that's what happened, right? They went in against a really good team, a really good offensive team that can spread it out, and it bit them in the behind, right? I think they went 12 for 18 on third down, if I'm not mistaken, right? And I don't know if you're able to look that up, or check that. Yeah, but I'm saying 12 for 18, 13 for 18, something like that on third down. They ran for like 215 yards, on Florida State. And so, again, man.
6 for 15.
Oh, they were 6 for 15 on third down? Okay, I was thinking of another game. I may have been thinking about the Georgia.
I mean, Alabama that's still game. Not very good.
Well, that's what Virginia went against them?
Virginia was 7 for 13 on third down.
Okay. I mean, I've been thinking
Florida State 6 for 15, 3 for 5 on fourth down.
Okay,
Virginia and what 2 for 2 on fourth down.
And what was Virginia on third down though? Tell me again.
7 for 13.
7 for 13. Okay, still, again, over 50%. I may have been thinking about Alabama on third down versus Georgia. But again, man, really good on third down. I think Chandler Morris went 26 of 35. Does that sound right? I think somewhere in that ballpark, right? And so again, man, they were efficient. They were able to run the ball. And so when you fast forward and think of what that looks like, against a team like Miami, against and listen, you can say what you want about the Miami offense, and whatever they're averaging, points per game and everything. But you also have to look at the fact that they play two of the best defenses in the country in Notre Dame and Florida, right? And not a bad defense in South Florida, which they made look bad, right? The same defense that beat Florida in the swamp, right? And so whatever they're not doing in terms of points per game, you have to look at look at the offensive line, look at the way they're able to run the ball, look at how efficient they are and everything like that. How good Carson Beck is. In the play action game and everything. And then add to that not only have they played good defenses, but they've also played in the elements. When you look at every single game Miami has played this year, and listen, and I'm not saying that's an excuse by any stretch of the imagination, but it does play. When you look at the elements and the wet ball and everything like that, that does affect the explosiveness of your offense. That does affect how much you're able to score and everything like that. And so, again, when you take into consideration the fact that they played of their 4 wins, 3 of them, were good defenses. 2 of them were very good defenses, bordering on elite defenses. And then after that they played in the elements, then you really have to look at Miami and think of, man, maybe they really haven't hit their ceiling, when you consider what they have at their disposal in terms of personnel and a dry field. So, again, man, I just think a lot of things don't set up well for Florida State coming up on Saturday.
No, I mean, I think people are, like you said, super high on the Alabama game. I don't think, and like we saw, and we're going to talk about it later, I think Alabama's finally hit their stride and figured it out a little more after that Florida State game. Kalen DeBoer is a great, quarterback whisperer. Offense has kind of figured out what he needs to do. The running game has opened up, but putting so much on that game because you beat Alabama. And I mean, yeah, you're overlooking. You got number 3 Miami, or 4 now. 3, I think they are. They were 2 last week being idle. They moved down 1.
Yeah.
But
as a result of Oregon beating Penn State.
Yeah. I mean, but, it's the same thing. They moved up to 2 and then moved down. But I'm ready for a great game. I mean, it's always but I mean, Miami's defense has looked unbelievable, leaps and bounds from last year. They probably win the title if they had half the defense with Cam Ward last year, if the defense they have now. And I mean, I in my opinion, it's the same game plan you had for USF with Byron Brown. Is you minimize Castellanos' legs and you keep him in the pocket and make him a passer, because when he gets out on those play actions, on those rollouts, is when he can make something happen.
Yeah, look, let's not pretend, no matter how big a Miami fan you are, you have to anticipate Florida State. They're going to have their moments, right? I think that type of offense, I think at this point, right, the what Miami has going for them, when it comes to Florida State's game plan, is now there's enough film out there, right? It's not game 1 like it was for Alabama, right? And it's funny enough, I was going back and forth with my brother about that the other day. Is he was kind of dismissing the first game type of storyline, and I told him, I was like, man, look, with this type of offense, game 1, that's going to be a tough matchup, right? Because of the misdirection and because of all the motion and everything they have, it's a tough offense to prepare for, especially considering the fact that it was Castellanos' first game in that offense, right? I mean, it's new OC, new quarterback, everything like that, and so there's definitely some stuff to be said for for that being for there having no previous film, right? No previous film of Castellanos in a Florida State uniform, no previous film of Gus Malzahn, on the sideline for Florida State, and I think that they played that to their advantage. Plus, they were at home, right? Alabama had never played at Doak. And so again, man, they took full advantage of it. Don't take away anything from from that game. They won it fair and square. They to me, by and large, I think they dominated that game. Right, when we talk about the opening whistle, I don't think Alabama was really ever in that game. And so again, man, credit to Florida State for the way they showed up and won that game. But I think I think there's something to be said for if they played this upcoming week, my money would be on Alabama. The way Alabama's playing, the way Florida State's playing, like my money would be on Alabama, right? But again, that's hypothetical. In reality, they played fair and square. Florida State won the game. But again, fast forward to to this upcoming week, and now I think there's enough film out there when you talk about what Florida State likes to do, their tendencies, their motions, and everything like that. And against a defensive line in Miami that, by all accounts, is, if they're not the best defensive line in the country, they're a top 3 defensive line in the country, right? When you consider the players that you've got, the way they're playing, the way they're grading out. Ruben Bain is the highest graded player in the country at any position. Keem Mesidor, is playing out of his mind. The D tackles are playing really well. They're deep on the line, especially at defensive end. There's a lot of speed. They can mix in, some upperclassmen, some younger guys, freshmen, sophomores. So you've got a lot of different body types and abilities on that D line. And I just don't think that offensive line matches up well against Miami's D line. So I think they're going to get in the backfield a lot. I think, again, you can expect Castellanos, I think, just based on that offense, I think he's going to, he'll break off a long run here and there. I think you just have to be prepared for that. You just can't let it demoralize you. But when you look at, what Miami has and the way they match up, I think a guy like Xavier Lucas, I think he's going to be, front and center against a guy like Deuce Robinson, who's 6'6". I think Xavier Lucas is 6'2", with a lot of ability and everything. So I think they're going to be able to switch up the looks. And they're going to do their best to get rid of Deuce Robinson and make Castellanos look somewhere else in the passing game. So, again, man, I like the way Miami matches up against them, and I don't see them being, very successful on the ground against Miami. I mean,
but it's the same vice versa. You could say, and now correct me if I'm wrong, that now we have a 4-game film of Carson Beck it's Shannon Dawson, correct? Is your offensive coordinator?
Shannon Dawson is the OC, yeah.
System. So, I mean, vice versa, the same thing. Now I'm going to put you in a situation. you're not going to like it, but I'm going to ask you to take off your Hurricanes hat right now, Q. And you're on the Florida State hot side. What would in your opinion, what would be their game plan for a victory?
I think it's an offense that isn't necessarily built for time of possession, right? I think they tend to score fairly quickly. But I think for them, I think it's the onus is going to be on the offense, right? I don't think the defense is going to be able to affect Miami enough. So I think it's going to be on the offense to really make it a track meet, right? To get Miami out of what it is they want to do, which is running the ball. And I think they're going to want to score a lot in order to put the pressure on Miami to get them away from that running game, that ball control, type of offense that they like to run, and turn them into a passing operation rather than and listen, they showed against Florida, right? When they came out against Florida, they didn't come out and try to establish a run. They passed to set up the run. I don't know if you were watching that game and anybody watching that game, and if you notice that, but they didn't come out in their normal set in terms of, hey, we're gonna run inside and try to establish a run. No, they opened it up. I mean, they opened it up and established the pass to then set up the run. And so, but again, I think when you're looking at man for man, I think you're looking at a Florida defense that is better than Florida State's defense up front. I think you can make the argument, right? If you want to have that conversation, you can argue, the back end in terms of the two schools. But I think up front, I think Florida has, the advantage. And, I think they put up more of a fight than I think Florida State will in terms of running the ball when you consider the fact that Virginia, that is a predominantly a passing type of offense, put up, I think it was 211 yards, 215 yards, something like that on the ground. And again, I think, like I was saying before, if you're a Florida State supporter, I don't think that bodes well for you when you consider the type of offense that Miami runs and the way they like to run the ball with that offensive line and those running backs.
211. They put up 211.
211. There you go. Yeah. Again, I think. Listen, if you're the Miami, staff, I think you have to look at those numbers and go, yeah, we like that.
And quickly, do you have a score prediction for this game? I mean, I'm going to, in my opinion, I'll go being the Hurricanes fan. I still think it's going to be a very close game. This is a heated rivalry. I mean, both fan bases, there ain't no love there for on either side for the fan base. I still, in my opinion, 31-24 Hurricanes. I'm not sold on Castellanos. I never was on the Carson Beck trash train. I thought he had his issues last year, but if you look at his issues, it was a game 4-9. He played poor, but still gave the team a chance to win. But that's, he wasn't good in 4-9, and he had a really 2 bad game stretch last year. But the thing with when you see Carson Beck was so good at Georgia, he had a strong offensive line, a good running game, which they do have at Miami. So I still think it's going to be a 31-24, 30, a high scoring game, but I don't see a blowout like we saw against Florida.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a bad take. I think there's something to be said for being a rivalry and the whole deal. Listen, I think there's a lot of factors at play. There's a lot of storylines here at play. I'm interested to see how it is that Florida State reacts when you talk about what happened to him last week. Tommy Castellanos was on, with, I can't remember, I think it was ACC Network, ACC Huddle or something like that. And he was talking about like how great this loss was for him because, I think, he thinks that they needed to be, kind of brought back down to earth and some people were getting too high or whatever. Listen, I'm not buying it. This was, by and large, the same team, that went 2-10 last year, right? I get new OC, I get new quarterback and everything, right? But by and large, it's still a lot of the same players. I'm not buying the fact that this was a loss that they needed, to get focus for Miami, right? You don't need any focus during a rivalry game, right? And if you need that, then you probably just need to transfer or just not play the sport, right? Again, I think this upcoming Saturday, I think when things start to get tough, I think Florida State will show some of those tendencies, and revert back to some of those 2-10, type of habits and tendencies that that they showed last year. Again, I think it's a bad matchup when you talk about Florida State and in the trenches. I'm not diminishing the ability that I think Florida State has. I think you got some talented DBs, right? I'm not going to take that away from them. I think on the defensive line, I think you've got a couple guys who, again, they are. I think they're more talented, probably more talented on defense, I think, man for man, than they are on offense. I think you've got some players on offense, some kind of younger guys and everything that may grow to be good. I don't think they're there yet. A tailback like Usman Chroma, who I think has a bright future ahead of him. I think he's okay right now. A guy like Gavin Sawchuk, who I think was a guy who never lived up to the hype, at other schools and everything like that. Again, Florida State's offensive line is more predicated on smoke and mirrors than they are on just lining up hat on a hat and beating you. I just don't think that bodes well for them when you talk about the type of defense that Miami plays, the talent they have on the D-line, and the new system that they're playing under DC Corey Heatherman. So, again, all that to me makes me believe that, again, I'm not calling for, this thing to be, a 30-point game. But I think as time goes on and Miami kind of imposes their will, I think they kind of start to run away with it. I'm looking at something like, 34-20. I'm comfortable saying kind of somewhere in that range, I think, is what Miami ends up winning the game.
Okay. So, I mean, we're not that far off.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think, I think Miami's one of the better I'm stumbling and fumbling here, but I think with having a quarterback coming from the SEC, I would put faith in that because he's been through the shit. The 100%. Shit is, and this guy has played years in the toughest environments in football. Doak Campbell, I know it's going to get rowdy, but I mean, go play in Knoxville on a Saturday night, or go play in Athens. It's not the same. But
listen, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just real quick. That's one of the things that anybody watching, and if you guys watched in the preseason, it's one of the things we talked about, and it's one of the reasons why I was so high on Carson Beck going to Miami, because when you looked at two things, one, his last season in the SEC, he played against 8 of the top 30 defenses in the country. That wasn't going to happen in the ACC. Not only that, but he was also playing in environments that most quarterbacks really outside of the SEC and the Big Ten have not really had a chance to play in. When you talk about, going to Ole Miss, going to Alabama, going to Tennessee, playing against Florida and the cocktail party, like all these environments and all these big games, SEC title game twice, so on and so forth. And so, again, those are things that I think, were to his benefit, and they translated right coming into Miami, things that he wasn't going to have to adjust to, and so.
Going to going to Starkville.
Vegas, baby, with the cowbells and, and the whole deal, right? Even them, and listen, even with Mississippi State, I think they're showing signs, right? They should have beat Tennessee the other night, but I think Jeff Levy has that program going in the right direction. And, but again, man, listen, this environment, coming up, I'm confident that with what Miami has in terms of the guys that they depend on, I think they're depending on a lot of adults. And I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, right? But when you're looking at, right, Carson Beck is an older guy, right? When you're looking at your receivers outside of Malachi Tony, you got CJ Daniels, right, who's an upperclassman, Tony Johnson, who's an upperclassman, Keelan Marion, right? The O-line is a veteran O-line. The running back room is with Mark Fletcher, right? He's a junior, he's an upperclassman. Marty Brown won a title at FCS, South Dakota State, or I'm sorry, North Dakota State, right? The Bison, North Dakota State, right? So yeah, right. He won a title there. I'm sorry for anybody watching. I know that's a mistake you don't want to be making and confusing those two programs.
Honestly, South Dakota State's been very good too. So
yeah. But we know North Dakota State runs the Dakotas, right? I mean, we know that to be the case. And then again on defense, when you're looking at Bain and Mesidor and the havoc they're wreaking, Jacoby Thomas at safety, again another upperclassman, an adult, a guy making a huge impact. Keontae Scott at nickel, making a huge impact. A guy who's been in the SEC and played in big time games. So again, man, I think they've got a great mix of vets and younger guys. The defense is flying around and making plays, man. I just think again the atmosphere, I just don't see it being. I just think sometimes the atmosphere is overplayed, man. When you're looking at, listen, let two things I've noticed, right, and just to kind of go left on this a little bit. Two things I've really noticed this year, about really the cream kind of rising to the top and the whole deal, right? When you're looking at, first and foremost, you're looking at some of these environments that I think people are, they hype and they talk up about, oh my God, it's so, listen, Oregon just went to Happy Valley during a whiteout and oh my God, it's going to be so good. Look, and they went over there and won the game.
Because
right?
Burrell sucks. That's why.
Yeah, well, and I'm going to get to that. LSU went to Happy Valley, Happy Valley Light, and ended up, winning the game over there. And then, again, you look at what quarterbacks were involved in those games. Aller, right? All this hype, coming into the season and how great he is and the whole deal. And he's going to be the first overall pick and the whole deal, which I never saw. And I know you didn't either. We had that conversation. Aller, I think, has been exposed. I think that conversation probably needs a seize at this point. If it hadn't already, it needs to now. Cade Klubnik, another guy who everybody hyped. And because I've been talking about it since the summer, I said Cade Klubnik is the president of the overhyped machine, a product of just ESPN and everybody making a huge deal about the numbers he put up against non-good teams, right? But anytime he plays a good team, he is mid. He is very, very ordinary against good teams. So on and so forth. But I think you're looking at what this season has showed us now, and coming into the season where there was, oh my God, there's 16, 17, 20 quarterbacks, that we're looking at, could be the first pick in the draft and all this and that. The quarterbacks have really started to kind of separate themselves, and you're looking at a guy like Fernando Mendoza, right, who's looking really good, a guy like Carson Beck who's looking really good. Look at all these quarterbacks that everybody was hyping. Darian Mensah that everybody was hyping. Duke paid $4 million a year for this dude, and he's been nothing. They lost to Tulane, who he transferred from, right? He's been suspect. Drew Aller's been suspect. Cade Klubnik has been suspect. Nussmeier. Everybody was like, Nussmeier's going to be the first pick in the draft. Nussmeier's been suspect. There's been so many quarterbacks whose true colors have shown, right? And they've shown they shouldn't be in the conversation for best quarterback in the country. But now as we're getting, further on into the season and we're getting some more games played in the whole deal, cream rising to the top, and you're starting to see the quarterbacks that are truly worthy of the attention separate themselves, and the ones who were overhyped and product of playing, tomato cans by and large are being exposed. And I'm really, really happy that that's the case.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, I was talking to Bobby Finstock before my baseball show. Was it last week? And he goes, he's a huge draft guy. He loves the draft.
Oh yeah.
He's like, who's one quarterback you can't buy? I'm like, it's the same quarterback I couldn't buy last year. It's Drew Aller. I've never been on Drew Aller. But I mean,
never understood the hype.
Nessmeyer has looked pedestrian. Francisco Mendoza will quickly go on that before we talk about. I mean, he looked phenomenal against Illinois, and then Illinois had a great bounce back against
beat USC.
Beat USC, but I mean, and also a guy who I was never sold on because of his time at UCLA was Dante Moore. But you've noticed he got to sit. He transferred, he got to sit, and you've noticed a big improvement of his game, beating, Penn State in a whiteout, which is never easy. But, I mean.
Hey, that dude is looking like the real deal. Dante Moore is looking like the real deal.
He's eligible. I mean, he's a redshirt sophomore.
I would – listen, again, like we talked about right before the season started, this huge draft class, this huge – roster of names that were possibly.
I want to hear from all the Arch people who are saying he's number one. Or Arch
Manning is another one, right? Exactly. Yeah.
Listen, where are you now?
Yeah, I thought he'd be good. I definitely did not see it playing out the way it has, right? In terms of him being really mediocre, except against who was it? He looked really good against the other day. I can't remember. Sam Houston State. I can't remember. It was somebody.
Sam Houston, and he flexed on the guy after he.
Yeah. And you're looking at that, and you're going.
Then he got berated. His mom berated him.
Yeah. Like, listen, I'm sure there was a relief there, right? Because of the amount of heat he'd taken, I'm sure from the fan base, he definitely taken it from the national media, everybody wondering what's going on with Arch and why isn't he living up to the hype and the whole deal. And so again, I didn't see him struggling. I definitely would not have forecasted that, but he has, right? And you're looking at what he may have on his plate coming up here, this upcoming week against Florida. Listen, I wouldn't go penciling them in for an automatic victory, in the Swamp.
Well,
I wouldn't listen. I'm not necessarily calling for the upset, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Texas lose that game.
Well, quickly, we got a couple. We spoke a lot of Miami, but now you brought up Texas, so quickly, previewing that game, going into the Swamp, where Arch has to go in the Swamp, and he has played a lot of cupcakes for the last couple weeks, and the Swamp is a different story. And they're going to be looking to I saw that look. It's the SEC. It's going to be. He's going to be. Yeah, right. But Florida's going to be wanting to get back on track with DJ Lagway, who's had a couple poorer games. This is a team who is definitely on the hype train of being a contender going into the year, after what Billy Napier did, to end the year last year to get them bowl eligible, and now Florida's 1-3. What is it? I mean, quickly, what do you see this game? I mean, we've seen Arch, he's got 3 games where he's playing San Jose State and Sam Houston to get a little more comfortable. Is this going to be an Arch breakout game or?
Listen, we've seen his performance at Ohio State. Say what you want against Florida, but their defense is very capable. The problem is they're not getting any help from their offense, right? And I think that's kind of where the problem lies. So again, DJ Lagway is going to be going against a tough defense in Texas. But I think if anybody who thinks that listen, now again, it could turn into that. It could turn into a blowout. I'm definitely not calling for one. I don't know what the line is in that game. But I definitely look at that game and I can see Florida, if things kind of fall their way, I can definitely see them, beating Texas. Again, I don't think Texas is this juggernaut that can't be beat. I think they showed that in game 1 against Ohio State. Again, this is a team that, they're, from last year's really good team, they replaced a lot of talent, a lot of NFL talent, a bunch of guys that got drafted high, and I know they've been recruiting really well, but there's no substitute for experience, especially in a conference like the SEC. So again, man, I think they're going to have to, have everything, going right for them going into the Swamp this Saturday. Would I still pick Texas? I would. If Sunday morning, we see that Texas lost, I also wouldn't be that terribly surprised. But again, I think both quarterbacks are going to have their hands full because both defenses are really, really good. They both defenses get after it. You've got some studs on both sides of the ball. Texas has a bunch of dudes, man, at every level. You got Colin Simmons, who I think is a stud at defensive end. He's a future, high first-round pick. Anthony Hill's another, high future first-round pick. And so, again, man, Texas is super talented, but I think Arch I don't think he's going to have one of these games where you're like, oh, man, here we go, right? First pick overall. I think he's going to have his hands full. I think he'll struggle, and because, again, I don't think you're really going to be able to set up a really consistent, running game against Florida. Again, I'm assuming. So
it's Texas. Florida's getting 4.5.
Okay.
Texas minus
that makes sense.
Florida plus 170.
That makes sense. Right? You listen, but again, listen, when you're looking at what we know to be the case in terms of spreads and everything, right? You get 3 points for home field, right? But by and large, again, that's the prevailing thought. You get 3 points for home field, right? So you're looking at 4.5. Again, I don't think, it's this foregone conclusion that Texas wins this game, right? So I mean, they're going to have to go in and really, they're going to have to play and they're going to have to show up because again, I don't think they're going to roll Florida in this game.
The thing I've noticed about Florida this year is their offensive line. I mean, DJ Lagway is, he's got 6'9", 83 for 123, 690 yards, 5 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, has been sacked 9 times. So, I mean, they're going to have to give him some time to throw, and we've seen that Texas Texas front seven is loaded.
Yeah. It'll be really interesting, man. Again, I'm interested to see that game. I'm interested to see how both of these quarterbacks show up because honestly, this is one of those games where I think kind of the game within the game, right, is Lagway versus Arch, right? I think when you're looking at the way they both performed this year, I think they both severely underperformed given what the hype was coming into the season. And so I think there is that pressure. Not only is it the pressure based on, the SEC and what type of game and what type of opponent you've got, but I think both of those guys, they've got to step up. I think they both got to be feeling the pressure at this point, and they have to be thinking, hey, look, man, I gotta play well. Right. And that has to be there. That has to be present. Right. Because listen, man, the age of these guys and the whole deal and we live in this social media age. Those guys have to be feeling the pressure, seeing all the posts and seeing the criticism and everything, hearing the criticism, feeling, the criticism. And I think the pressure is there. I think it's a really intriguing matchup when you're talking about, quarterback versus quarterback, because obviously that's a position that stirs the drink. When you talk about the sport at any level, and especially those two names, man, Lagway and Arch. I mean, were there 2 more hyped names coming into the season? Really, like seriously, were there 2 more hyped names coming into the season than Arch and Lagway? I mean, really not for me. No. Klubnik wasn't. Aller wasn't. Nussmeier maybe, right? But I think when you're looking at the younger guys, especially Lagway and Arch, were like the 2 biggest, most hyped names kind of coming into the season, and they've really fallen short of expectations. So, again, man, I think there's a lot of pressure on these guys, and we'll see which one of those guys performs best. And I think whichever one of those guys performs best, their team is probably going to win.
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. How's it going,
hey, man? D, what's going on, buddy?
Good. I had to get a haircut.
Good to hear from you. Yeah, man. He's not superstitious. He's a little stitious. So he got a little trim. He got a little trim.
Yeah, I have an interview in the morning. I can't go in and look at
there it is. It is.
It was, my hair was terrible. I had to get a haircut, period. I didn't really think about it, but my interview's at like 9:30. I'm like, I don't have time to get a haircut.
You don't have time in the morning, no.
I was looking really, really bad there, and I didn't have any so I was like, I had to. But I got the playoff mustache. Got the same hat I was wearing. I'm about to put the same shirt on I was wearing last night.
Playoff mustache. Let's go.
Playoff mustache. And I'm an old school guy. I'm all about Mr. Steinbrenner, the big boss.
No, man.
The only facial hair you got is here. I'm not a huge fan of it. I get it. You got to change it nowadays, but
yeah, it's 2025, bro.
My thing is, I get it. I'm like, just keep it groomed. I don't want to see Yankees with like down here like you see with some of the Red Sox. That's just not the Yankees. A little classier. Take a shot at some Red Sox.
Listen, man. Look, just win, bro. Just win. Yeah, that's all I care about. Look however you want. Just win.
Yeah, winning take care of everything. They haven't done that since 09, But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to be a great game. Something you're going to have to watch, mate. If this isn't on your slate, please, and you're listening right now, first off, like and subscribe FTSN Extra. And there's some good stuff on here. A lot of Dolphins fans, but they're good guys. That's at the end of the day. That's all that really matters.
their pro football teams, their choice of their pro football team notwithstanding, they're all good people.
Their pro football team sucks, but at the end of the day, they're all good guys, and we can get along there and talk some smack. That's all that matters.
Great.
I'm grateful I'm on this network because I know Bobby. The first time I got on here, he's like, "I have a Jets fan on my network." I'm like, "Yeah, that's right." And I've also said, besides now when Q joined the network, I'm the only guy on here who does strictly like I do college football. I do all of baseball. I'm like, I'm not doing team specific on here. I'm doing everything. I'll talk about other teams. And but I mean, all right, getting back to good old college football, we got a little sidetracked there. It was, I'll let you know, it wasn't Alabama for Johnny Abraham. It was South Carolina.
South Carolina, there was. It was SEC, man. I just couldn't remember where.
I mean,
stud, man. Stud.
Oh yeah, he was a beast. Him, Sean. I mean, those teams that I grew up.
What was with the Jets? Went to the Falcons. Kind of the second half of his career and everything, was really good with the Falcons.
Really great. I
thought that guy the Predator.
I loved those with Vinny Early, but then Pennington with Curtis Martin. Wayne Corbett. You had Aaron Glenn.
Damn, he's taking it back right there, man.
I'm telling you, we had some of. I will say
get some Dolphins fans PTSD, man. Be careful.
I will say that at times during those years in the early 2000s, we had some of the slowest safeties I've ever seen in my life. Like Sam Gardner, slowest safety I've ever.
Sam Gardner.
Oh my God!
Never heard that name in a minute.
Yeah, he was so slow. I mean, Marvin Lewis. I mean, you're
linebacker.
Welcome.
Linebacker Marvin Lewis, right? From Florida State, no?
Yeah. You're welcome, Patriots fans, because if you never played the Jets, you never would have had Tom Brady because we knocked out Drew Bledsoe. I don't want to.
That was Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis is the one that hit him, right?
Oh yeah, knocked him out. And I mean, thank God.
Cracked his sternum.
Oh, he was close to. I mean, it was like he might die. So I mean, thank God he did. I don't want to see that for anybody. I mean, if that never happened, you never would have had Brady. So you're welcome, Patriots, and they ruined both their lives, the Dolphins and Patriots. Jets.
That ruined it for everybody, man.
I
ruined it. That guy ruined it for everybody, man.
I mean,
especially the AFC East, but he ruined it for everybody.
Oh, and now the AFC East's got Josh Allen just running around, but I'm not really worried about that because the Jets got other problems on their hands. So it's not really worrying about Josh Allen right now. But and I will say the NFL this year, I mean, we're seeing a quick NFL note. We're seeing 1-3 Baltimore, who's an AFC championship contender every year. You have the Chiefs struggling. You got the Eagles, who are 4-0, the ugliest 4-0 I've ever seen, but they find a way to win. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I mean, but we do have, not a good as a good slate to this week. But I mean, on a little injury news, John Mateer's down for what, 5 weeks?
Listen, I would be at this point. I haven't seen the newest timeline on the injury, but I'd be fairly surprised if he was back for the regular season at this point.
Yeah, which hurts because now they're up to 5.
Huge. It's huge.
We'll see what I think. Was it? Is it Martinez? Is their backup?
I'm honestly not sure who their backup is, man. To be honest,
he played a little bit last year. I don't remember, and I think he was probably looking forward because he struggled last year when he got thrown in for Jackson Arnold. I think
he's a true sophomore. He was a highly recruited kid. I know they had a kid play last year behind Arnold who was a true freshman.
Yeah, it's Michael Hawkins. Michael Hawkins.
There you go. That's it. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, he was a highly recruited kid.
I've even heard stuff because I'll follow a little Oklahoma. He was looking forward to sitting on the bench and learning, and now he's going to get thrust right into it for a team that has hopes to make the college football playoffs, and it's looking like one of the better defense, if not the best defense in college football.
Yeah, look at man, sack Jackson Arnold when they played Auburn 10 times. So that front seven can get after it. Yeah,
I mean a record. So I mean, but hopefully he comes back because John Mateer was exciting football to watch. But the next game, the last good game on the slate this week is, Alabama Vanderbilt, the redemption game for Alabama. I will say Kirby Smart, when that game was over, I started playing a little Three Doors Down and think about, a little kryptonite because he cannot beat Alabama.
Yo, listen, man, it's crazy to me when you consider the numbers, right? That when you look at the record, right, and you look at the numbers that Kirby Smart has done against everybody not named Alabama.
Yeah.
It's really, really crazy, right? Like he doesn't lose, right? He doesn't lose.
Like 47-3 or something like that.
Yeah, except against Alabama. Coming into this game, you're like, well, no, he can't beat Saban. No, apparently he can't beat Alabama. Because he lost to him last year, lost to him this year, right? And so, again, man, you take a look at what's on the horizon for them, man. I honestly, I think it's a game they probably should have won. If we're being honest, I think you can't blame it only on the last play of the game, but I think the last play of the game, without getting too deep into it, I think it was just I don't know that Gunnar Stockton should have given the ball to Cass Jones. I just I don't know. I think he should have kept it, or they should have had Chauncey Bowens in the game. He was really he was having a really good night. I don't understand why you overthought the thing. But again, I think probably a game that Georgia probably should have won, but shoulda, woulda, coulda, but they didn't. And so again, hats off to Alabama for winning a night game in Athens, which doesn't happen very often. I think that it snapped a 33 game home winning streak for Georgia, which is really impressive. But listen, man, I'm interested in this game, man, because listen, Vanderbilt looks good. Vanderbilt beat them last year in Nashville, and Diego Pavia having a good year, right? And so we'll see how it goes. I wouldn't put money on Vanderbilt personally. I think Alabama will come in with with a chip on their shoulder, and obviously having remembered what happened last year. I don't think they're going to underestimate them. I don't think they're going to take them lightly. And I expect a fairly comfortable win by Alabama on Saturday.
You're speaking a good year for Diego Pavia, who, was a fifth year, sixth year. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's about 27 years old at this point.
He can come back. He's trying to get a waiver for next year too.
I think he got the waiver. I think the waiver was for this year. I think he got the waiver for this year, which I'm sure made a lot.
They're trying to get him one because of the junior college days. But he said he's done. But yeah. He's got 1,200 plus passing yards, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And yes, Vanderbilt. Yeah, they shellacked Utah State. You beat South Carolina, who had some high hopes going into the year, which is, I would say, your only really quality victory so far. Virginia Tech is in shambles right now.
Even though they beat who was it they beat the other day? Who was it they beat? Which I was kind of surprised to see.
They didn't beat anybody.
Did they beat NC State?
They lost to Vanderbilt, lost to Old. No, they beat NC State 22-21.
Yeah. Which, listen, I would not have guessed, even though I know NC State isn't a power by any stretch, but I would have taken NC State in that one, for sure. I'm a little bit surprised to see NC State lose that game.
After losing to Old Dominion, yeah.
Yes, and plus again, their coach got fired and everything like that, and so sometimes that happens, man. They fire their coach, and next week they come out, switch everything up, and sometimes you get the result. So
right.
But yeah, man, the ACC overall is just they're not great right now, man. ACC.
On that front, I don't see Caleb DeBoer overlooking this. Vanderbilt, 16 coming in. They're going to want a revenge from last year when Saban was saying we focus on every game minus Vanderbilt.
Yes.
Clark Lee, yeah. Clark Lee's has turned this team around from this is just a academic school with a great baseball team. He turned it into a respectable program. Yeah. And if you've been to Vanderbilt's campus, it is a crackerjack box of a football stadium.
Yeah, I've seen it on TV. Never been. I've been to Nashville, a good bit of times. Haven't made it over to Vanderbilt to see it. I wouldn't mind going to see, a game and everything. But
bizarre campus because it's in like the middle Midtown, but it is like spread across Midtown Nashville, but it is beautiful. And they got the baseball field right there, then football and the disgusting basketball stadium they have, where they have the players behind the baskets, which is
That's
really
weird.
Oh, it's so weird.
That's odd. But those small school characteristics, man. Listen, you got to do something to stand out when you're
on that side. And I know after that Florida State game, we spoke about Ty Simpson. Is he the guy? And he has definitely shown it. I mean, he's 88 for 127, 1,103, 108 passing yards, 11 touchdowns to no interceptions.
Yep. Yeah, he's looked good since that game for sure.
I mean,
without a doubt.
Yes, you put the smackdown on UL Monroe, but you beat Wisconsin 38-14. Then you win 24-21 in Athens, which is a whole other ball game.
Yeah,
and I mean, I don't see a slip up for Alabama this week like we saw last year.
No, I'm confident. I'm confident in Alabama, handling business on Saturday. Again, I'm not really predicting a score or anything, but I don't see Vanderbilt hanging with Alabama on Saturday, to be honest with you.
No, and this is also your leading receiver isn't our former phenom freshman Ryan Williams, who's only got 15 for 238. So they're spreading it around nice when you got what is it? His name
Jeremy Bernard.
Jeremy Bernard, he's 20 for 310, 4 touchdowns. Yep. So I mean, I don't see them overlooking this game.
I'm thinking they're going to try and get that running game going because they weren't great against Georgia. So I would imagine that's probably at the top of their list, right? To maybe get that thing going in the right direction. Obviously, Georgia is Georgia, on the D line and the front seven. So you're not really going to make a living most days running the ball against them. But I would imagine they're going to want to get back to that and kind of reestablish that before they get deeper into the SEC season. But again, I don't expect. Now listen, anything can happen. Like we know, don't expect Vanderbilt to be much of a game against Alabama on Saturday.
I mean, speaking on that rushing game, you got Kevin Riley? He's only got 150 yards, 33 for 150, and then you got 7 for 85. Ty Simpson's your third leading rusher on the team. Yep. So I mean, you're definitely.
I'm sure they want to get Jam Miller. going. I think they probably want to feed him.
So I mean, it's definitely going to have to get that running game going for
He's been nicked up. But I think I would imagine it's probably high on their priority list is to get him going. And get him some yards. Kind of get his season going already. So,
but I'm with you. I don't see Alabama, overlooking this game. They get the win there in Tuscaloosa. College game days there. It's not now going off of before we wrap up here. A surprise team, the one team that's very surprising me right now, and I know it's probably a hot pick, is Mississippi beating Ole Miss beating LSU. Yes, in Oxford, but you have, like we spoke about before, Garrett Nussmeier is being touted as maybe the best quarterback in the NFL draft next year, and they're number 5. I don't remember anybody talking about Ole Miss this year, and you're also doing it with a D2 quarterback from Ferris State.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember
Trinidad Chambliss, whose name I had never heard of before the season started.
I know a lot of
heard that name.
I know a lot of colleges, Q, like small, random. I know a lot of places. I think Ferris State might be in Kansas, but I'm 100%, probably 99.9% wrong. I don't even know where it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where they're located, but they're a really good Division II program. I think they won 3 out of the last 4 titles or something like that. And so, a guy who produced obviously at the there you go. But a guy who produced at the D2 level, but stepping up to the SEC and doing what he's doing, I think is really impressive. Especially when you take over for a guy like Jackson Dart, right? Obviously, a guy who was taken in in the first round of the NFL draft, and so man, hats off to him, man. Lane Kiffin shows once again how he is a quarterback whisperer, right? That guy puts quarterbacks in a good system and in a good position to succeed. And so listen, man, they look really good, man. They look really really good. Going to or I'm sorry, beating LSU in Oxford the other day. And so it's a team you have to really pay attention to, man. Hey, listen, them and Texas A&M weren't the favorites necessarily coming into the season, but those are two teams that you cannot sleep on at this point in the SEC. I get Georgia and Alabama, were the ones being hyped, Florida, Texas also, Texas obviously more than Florida. But kind of those four teams, the Norris Sellers in South Carolina being hyped also. Not a lot of people talking about Ole Miss and Texas A&M, but those are two teams that you can't sleep on, and I would not at all be shocked to see one or both of them, in the SEC title game come into the season.
I put a Texas A&M very similar, and this team, and we've talked about this team, and you like this team. I put Texas A&M very similar. I think Texas A&M might be a little more talented with the athletes they have, but with the coaching staff to Georgia Tech, with Mike Elko and Brett Key, right?
Who you said? You said Texas A&M with Mike Elko
and who else? And Georgia Tech with the coaching staff.
Georgia Tech is
Brett Key.
Brent Key. Yeah.
I mean, with the preparation, you've got Texas A&M with Mike Elko. They're going to be prepared week in, week out. It's not a team that a Georgia Tech or a Texas A&M that anybody's talking about. But right now, Georgia Tech's 5-0. You beat Clemson, with all Clemson's deficiencies so far, that's still a victory over Clemson.
They should have lost to Wake, this past Saturday. Horrible missed call by the refs on a very obvious offside by the Wake. I'm sorry, by the Georgia Tech DB. And so the quarterback from Wake just kind of threw it up because he assumed he had a free play. Didn't get called. That would have taken 40 seconds off the clock and would have been a first down. They could essentially run it out. But Georgia Tech took advantage of the situation. They ended up going to overtime and winning. I think it was an overtime win. But yeah, man, listen, nonetheless, they're undefeated. And, I think, I don't know that they look formidable necessarily. But again, like we talked about, the entire offseason leading up to, to the season.
Look at their schedule.
Yeah, it's so soft.
Virginia Tech,
it's so soft.
Syracuse, NC State, Boston College, Pittsburgh, and then you finally play Georgia.
Yeah, listen, I don't expect them to lose. If they lose two games in the conference, I would be shocked. I mean, the schedule is just really, really soft. They play essentially nobody. They don't play Miami. They don't play Florida State. They beat Clemson already, but obviously that shows that Clemson obviously is not good this year. They don't look that great. So they'll have something to say in the conference, man. Again, just based on the schedule, it's just a very weak schedule, and just kind of based on that, they're going to be a player in the SEC come into the season. So we'll see.
You got anything else? You good, Q? Or
nothing else, brother. I'm good. I'm hopping on with Will from 305 Sports Now here about 9:30. So anybody watching, man, if you want to tune in,
you got a full slate today, dude.
Full slate, man. Watch some of the Niners game and so yeah, man. It's you
got the Niners. You turn
Niners Rams. Yeah, they're up 7-0 right now. 9:34 left in the first. So
I will not be watching that game, but
yeah, we'll
I got
see.
a little something else going on.
Oh yeah, I know you got something else cooking. So good luck to your boys tonight, man.
I'm nervous as hell.
No, you should be.
It's game 3. It's game. I'm sorry. It's game 3. You're playing Boston. You never know.
No. Man, listen, baseball's done a really good job. With this wild card round. A lot of intrigue. But I think they had today alone there was 3 game 3s. Which again always drive viewership. Man, people want to see those elimination games. So good job.
And since they've created this format, no team has won the wild card round losing game 1.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's still held pat because the Tigers won game 1. They won earlier. The Cubs won game 1. They just won right now. So it's, let's break some history, get it done. But it's I don't care if you're a Yankees or Red Sox fan. I will come out and say it as a nut job Yankees fan and a diehard baseball fan. It is good with baseball now starting to get better, starting to get a little more viewership. But at one point, it was starting to come down. It is good for the game when teams when the Yankees and Red Sox are good.
Those big brands are always good for the sport, man. No matter how much you dislike them, that it's always been the case in every sport. When the big name brands are good and at the top of their game, that always helps viewership. So I think I saw the other day where baseball viewership across the board was up 9%, I think, over last year. So, again, Dodgers, Yankees, right, being good, Phillies being good, that kind of thing. Obviously, the Mets sucking, again, falling apart. But
your Marlins did their job and
they knocked them out of stuck the fork in them, which I thought was good. And Marlins, also, had a decent year considering.
Also, if they won Sunday, the Mets would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like
a $340 million payroll and missed the postseason after having the best record in the majors after 2 months. They had the best record and they fell apart. $340 million going home for the offseason.
They were like 6 games up going into it was 6.5 and 4 at the end of August on the Reds and the Giants who were playing hot. It's a massive collapse, but that's also
I love it.
The thing with baseball and all sports is they spend so much money. And don't get me wrong, Juan Soto is a phenomenal player, but they gave so much money to Juan Soto. The reason it's working in LA right now with those guys, with the Ohtanis, is Ohtani said, "I'll take less money now and give it to me later." Now I'm going to tell you that's going to hurt you later. Look at what the Mets did with who's got their own day besides the holiday? That's Bobby Bonilla Day, who's still getting paid to this,
till 2035, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
It's insane. So that's the reason it works. Juan Soto wasn't saying I'll take that. Now Ohtani did that because he's like, oh, I make so much money on endorsements and I run Asia. Everybody knows me, so he's not really worried about it. But Soto wasn't doing that. But it's great. I'm gonna let you wrap this up. But October we got baseball playoffs. We got NFL going. We got college football in the full swing. We got NHL, which I'm not an NHL guy. I'll watch NHL playoffs.
I'll watch the playoffs.
Yeah, I just am. But it's like you got sports every day, and 100%. we're in heaven right now. But I'm gonna keep it to you, my man.
It was man. That is all I got, man. That's all I got. So definitely looking forward to the weekend for obvious reasons. Saturday specifically, we'll see how it goes. But hopefully we got something good to talk about, on next week's show, man. So man, if that's all you got, buddy, that is all I got from my man Russ. I'm your boy Q. If you like what you heard tonight, do us a huge favor, like the show, subscribe to the channel, as well as everybody else on FTSN Extra. So for my boy Bobby Fitztalk, shout out to my guy AD. Appreciate you commenting. For my boy Russ, I am Q, and we are going to wrap it up. We shall talk to you guys really, really soon. Y'all have a good night.